Alright, we are back. We're going to be getting into our next series. Actually, we're already loading into the map. It's going to be starting on Catalana here. And our second series of the night is going to be another TVZ series. I'm pretty stoked for this one, just because of how the qualifiers went. So these players did split their games in the qualifiers, 1-1. So obviously a pretty even matchup. And it's been talked about pretty much all week from at least one of these players. And we've been talking about it a lot. So already in the game. Introducing our players, spawning on the left side of Catalana in yellow from All Inspiration. It is Aquila.
And on the right hand side of Catalana, the captain of Unrivaled in teal, it is Padula. Yes, bit of history between these two players, which is nice. It's always fun. Yeah, a bit of accidental history as well, I think, which is pretty funny.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It was a good time when we did have the qualifiers, because it was a really intense match. It was one of the I think it may have been actually the last match completely, getting into. Well, it wasn't quite the last match. It could have been the last match. Had Padula won in the initial round robin between these two players, that would have been over then. We wouldn't have had to go on for another 6 games or so. But Aquila did, probably being one of the at least I guess least favorite players to come out of the round robin, managed to pull off a game from Padula when she needed to, especially after losing an earlier TVZ against Lumia. And was actually feeling it in pretty bad spirits going into the match against Padula, and didn't want to actually play it. Had to convince her to get back online, and she played and ended up winning that match and forcing the tiebreakers. But in the tiebreakers, Padula did win the rematch, so as I said, they are even so far.
Yeah, the Padula losing that game cost his fellow clan member a spot in this CSL as well, which is unfortunate, because if Padula had won that game, which he was favoured to win it, you'd think, 9 times out of 10, going into the match at least, Lumia would have advanced, but Aquila pulled it out and showed that she can at least handle the skill level, which is good. So I think she's definitely capable of taking games off Padula.
Yep. And that's all that's really important is in series like this. And the same thing with Slayer and Lando. Lando was probably a little bit more favored over Slayer than I could say Padula is over Aquila, but it's similar where Slayer easily could have taken at least 1 map, if not taken 2. Just these things sort of happen. So we'll have to see. We do see a Reaper coming from Padula here. Something he was doing in most of the games against and during the qualifiers, so no surprise seeing that coming out of him, especially on this map. Even could be a map where he decides to go for those 3 Reapers instead of just 2 that we saw Lando do in the first game against Slayer earlier. Aquila's natural hatchery has finished up, and she does have 2 queens on the way and some lings as well to help against this Reaper that is already here, so going to require a bit of micro to deal with this Reaper initially to keep the drones alive. A couple of them are pulled off. The lings are out now, so they could push us away. Just needs to turn that drone into something. Will get sniped off there, so decent control there from Padula. Able to kill that drone and does squirt on out of there. Very low health left on the Reaper, but it is alive, and that is all that matters here in the early game.
Yeah, good start there for Padula. Saving that Reaper. Doesn't want to lose that Reaper. It's never worth the drone to lose a Reaper in this early game. Just the scouting intel you can get from that Reaper is so important. So hopefully should dart back in with the Reaper and try and get some scouting off as well. Aquila getting speed. She's pulled out of gas though. All 3 drones out of gas as well. Not leaving the usual 1 in. So he wants to really ramp this drone production up. Get a couple of queens. Get this creep spread going.
Especially getting the creep going, I think, was something she focuses on a little bit in the earlier game, making sure she gets that speed and then goes for a couple more queens so she can get the creep going and actually take her 3rd base early enough, which I guess is probably going to be the plan here. As you said, she did pull out of gas, does have a little bit left over, and with speed on the way. It's kind of a matter of what is Padula going to do at this point. He's got some Widow Mines actually on the way. I'm not sure if that's actually maybe a mistake, but he's got 1 Widow Mine and 1 Hellion on the way. It's kind of an interesting little composition, but Starport on the way as well here for Padula. He does have 2 gases, but only 4 SCVs actually in gas right now. It's not necessarily sure exactly what he's going to be going for. If it's going to be for Banshees, or going to go for like an early medevac. If he tries to go for some sort of drop, which is a possibility. I mean, if few Marines and a Widow Mine and a drop early against his Zerg player is really, really frustrating to deal with. We do have a medevac coming out. Keela actually scouting this out with an Overlord already. So we'll see exactly what is kind of on the way, but trying to figure out that it is actually going to be a Widow Mine, and even there's an armory on the way somewhere. Where's that armory at?
In the back of his base. It's a really good spot as well.
Yeah.
This Overlord is the luckiest Overlord in the history of StarCraft 2, though. It has gone all the way into the base and all the way back out again without being killed. I can't believe this Overlord's going to survive. It's quite unique and interesting. I like this little push out from Padula, though. A couple of Marines, a Widowmine, a couple of Hellions, a Reaper as well. A bit of a ragtag push, but the Widowmine just adds so much. You can place this Widowmine between the 3rd and the natural and use the Hellbats and the Marines to try and knock down this 3rd base of Aquila's. Yeah, a very good push.
Aquila does see that this is coming, just send a couple of Lings over there that were just ran into the units that Padula has. This 3rd base is probably going to get canceled here because it's going to be really difficult for Aquila to actually push through this. With that Widowmine helping out, and this is still a pretty powerful push. We got 3 Hellbats. This is what, 6 Marines here, or 5 Marines and a Reaper. So 3rd base will have to be canceled. So Aquila will have to deal with that. Well, don't cancel it. So it doesn't even get canceled. That's a loss of 300 middles, especially at this point in the game. There's a Bailey Nest on the way, so there's a lot of Lings out as well. I'm not sure if Aquila's going to try and just follow up with some sort of an all-in. There's a Spine Crawler and a Spore Crawler up here, but Lings trying to fight into a choke, not very decent for them, but Aquila's Spore Crawler here may actually kill barely doesn't kill medevac there. That was almost real bad for Padula there.
Yeah, I think he should turn around and go home. He's killed the 3rd. He even got a kill, not a cancel. Definitely, I think he's done enough damage. He's forced out a lot of Lings and the Bailey Nests. And then Aquila's got these 2 evolution chambers, but they're not upgrading at the moment at all.
13 more drones, yeah.
Yeah. Guess that's her choice. She's going to try and macro her way out of this situation. And Padula's got his 3rd started. He's got 2-2. He's even throwing down a tech lab on the starport. Maybe for Banshees, I don't know. But even getting a repair on this medevac, which is a really good choice. Almost losing it. He's going to keep that alive.
Yeah. The lack of control with medevacs, lack of understanding of how many medevacs he actually had, really hurt Padula in that first game against Aquila. That was probably the reason that he actually lost there. He is making still a medevac out of the starport that does have the tech lab, so I feel like the tech lab may just be for this barracks. I guess not. The barracks is going to go over to the reactor here. So not necessarily sure exactly what's going on for Padula just yet. If he is going to try to make a couple Banshees to help be annoying, add in some harass. There is one Banshee actually already out. I'm not even sure when that got out, but it is already out. How did I miss that completely?
Yeah, tried to kill the 3rd, but Queens came over and stopped that. There's Queen almost dead, but there's some transfusers here. Should be able to heal her up.
Padula actually already has some turrets set up in his mineral lines, so we'll be a little bit safe, at least from early. There is going to be a Spire or not, but so far just a lot of Lings in production here for Aquila. No Bane speed, however, just yet, which would really help out if she wants to go for a bust, which, I mean, with this many Lings at this point of the game, there we go, Bane speed is on the way, 1-1 is on the way as well. It's going to be finishing up relatively soon, probably a little bit before Bane speed, but actually a lot before Bane speed, I think. Yeah, a lot before Bane speed, but still.
A lot before.
A 1-1 push with Banes, a 1-1 bust, really, with Banes. Could be pretty powerful against what Padula's going to have, but already with some Widow Mines and some Hellbats helping out, taking this 3rd base right now also. 18 Banes actually in production, so kind of expecting Aquila to push across the map pretty soon.
It's a lot of Banelings, even to make on this side of the map as well. Not sure if these are going to be for defensive or not. It's an interesting choice. Padula got combat shields and stim almost finished. Starts +2 attack. We'll probably start +2 armor as soon as he can afford it with the gas as well. Needs to take this gas geysers in his natural though. He's only got 1 with 1 SCV in it at the moment. His starport misrallied a bit as well. A few mistakes coming out of both players here, I think. Perhaps nervous, perhaps a bit nervous. There's a bit on the line for them.
Changeling, actually, from Aquila, moving from her side of the map all the way over, looking for the 3rd base. And actually, it may not actually see it, depending on how it rallies or how it walks past some units. Okay, it should walk into these Marines and turn into itself. There we go. So it does kind of hide itself there, so we'll be able to get in and see that 3rd base does exist and see actually how many units that Padula has over here, which really aren't too many at the moment, but still. It's a pretty good army for really both players right now. 75 armies applied to 42, but a lot of Banes already out on the map here for Aquila, so shouldn't be too frightened by a push of Padula, depending on where he decides to make that push. But with the Medivacs out and no Spire actually yet at all for Aquila, drops could be a real issue for our Zerg player. Finally, the Spire is going to be coming down now, but that is rather late in this game, especially with 2-2 already started. The third base hasn't been actually saturated by Aquila, still just making a ton of drones right now, or lings right now. And he's got a lot of army, but not much economy to back it up.
Yeah, Padula's taking his gas geysers at his natural and one at the third, but he's only got one in each as well, still. There's one guy in each gas geyser. The real effective mining of gas coming out of Padula. He moves across the map with a pretty strong army. 2-2's almost finished. If he can wait until 2-2 to take this fight, he's pre-split his army off creep with the Widow Mines. I think he can take a really good engagement here. He can always lift up if he's in trouble as well, because the Remuda's very far away. Widow Mine's probably not placed in the best position here for him. You're really behind the army at the moment.
It's a lot of Widow Mines too. I mean, there's 9 Widow Mines right now, and Akila's going to push into this as best as she possibly can. But with all these Widow Mines here, depending on how they do split into, actually the Widow Mines doing probably just about as much friendly fire damage as they do regular damage. But those last couple of shots from those back Widow Mines do a ton of damage. A lot of units for Aquila do die here, and 36 Lings in production and 8 more Banes. But those Banes are morphing right in front of the army of Padula, and Padula's he's not stopping this push. And that is a lot of units moving across the map. They're all stemmed. Aquila not going to be able to get any banelings up for a while, probably. Going to have to pull back somewhere and hopefully morph a lot of Banes and try and catch Padula off guard. But one drop moving into the main base here as well to try to kind of split her apart right now. And now Padula pushing at the third base at the same time, and just still more and more units walking across the map here for our Terran player. Banes are finishing up. It's actually a Marauder out front, going to do a lot of damage on it. And a Widow Mine, one Widow Mine shot goes off, kills off a lot of those units there. A lot of Banes crashing into Marauders right now, and a lot of the third base is going down as well. 13 drones been killed over there. The drop in the main has not been dealt with yet. The Spire, it's here, it's finished, but it's not doing anything, and Padula is actually taking a fourth base. And Aquila going to tap out there here in game number 1.
GG. Very passive game out of both players. Not really much going on in the game. Padula kind of just macroed his way and put an army out the front door of Aquila and kind of just went from there.
Yeah, like she had there was a lot of units there, but the Widow Mines, I think those last couple of Widow Mine shots did so much work and didn't have anything really producing while she was taking the engagement, which can be really, really difficult for a lot of Zerg players, is actually just while you're attacking, continuing to produce. So once that attack finished, there was nothing, just absolutely nothing actually on the map for her. So she couldn't finish up the follow-up army that came from Padula, which as a Terran player, it's equally difficult to continue production the entire time with that parade push style that Padula does go for a lot of the times. He was just able to kind of just eventually roll over Aquila there in game number 1. Our second game is going to be on Overgrowth. Waiting for people to actually be able to load into the lobby here.
Yeah, I'd like to see Aquila go for some kind of bust. I think it'd be a very strong play for her. Just trying to get a lot of Lings, a lot of Banelings, or even Roaches maybe. Just try and break down the wall of Padula. Or even something cheeky like a proxy hatch. Something like that, just to throw something at Padula that's not something he's seen quite a few times. So these two have played each other. Well, this be game number 4 or 5.
3, 4,
Perhaps.
3, 4.
Yeah.
Game 4.
4. Yeah, game 4. So they have faced each other a few times. And from what I gather, I'm pretty sure all games have looked very similar to this. One game
There's some push from Padula that comes out early on.
Yeah, and then he just kind of falls back and just macros up, like Aquila macros up. I'd really like to see something else out of Aquila, just to change it up.
Alright, let's go see if our players are actually ready. We can get into game number 2 here. Yeah, have to see if Aquila is able to pull something out a little bit different here. I mean, players at this level tend to stick to the same build over and over and over and over and over and over and over, and just kind of hope that it works sometimes. But Padula, his openers are generally a lot different. So he has a bevy of openers that he can actually go toward to decide what he wants to actually do in a game, rather than having the same thing each and every game. So if he's able to pull something out or not, a little bit different and catch Aquila card. And he killed the third base last game, so that was a nice start for him already in that game. And that was with a different push than I think he's done in any of the games that he's done against Aquila so far. But we are in game number 2, and spawning up here in the top right from All Inspiration in yellow, our Zerg player, it is Aquila.
And in the bottom left, from Team Unrivaled, up 1-0, it is Padula. Changing colours on his Padula. Rip.
Not even
Really
playing
annoying.
his team's color. He's actually playing All In's color, so maybe Free Potato got to him. I'm gonna say.
Yeah, maybe All In are trying to recruit.
I think. 'Cause I play Padula and we were playing one night last week, I think.
Yeah.
I
I was watching that stream. I think.
yeah. It was a good time.
Yeah.
So taking it in strides, that's nice to see. But game 2 here between these two players. The victor, if Padula is able to win this match, he will go on in the winner's match and play TVT against Mr. Lando. But it is still anybody's series here if Keel is able to even it up or not. Force to game number 3. Game number 3 will be on Deadwing if it does actually happen. Both of our series so far, they've vetoed the same maps, different orders of vetoes, different people vetoing each thing, obviously, but we do have the same maps being played, which isn't too much of a surprise, at least at this point. Maybe we'll get something different if Lando and Padula play, or if Lando and Aquila play. So wait and see. Even in the ZVZ, can be different maps chosen other than the normal standard ones. But if that's what you feel comfortable with, you may as well play them.
Yeah, I don't expect too many choices. I know Slayer doesn't really like the new maps at all, so I expect him to be vetoing Secret Spring and Varney and Expedition Lost and Inferno pretty regularly. He'll veto 2 of those 4 maps, I think, every time. And then the other maps are just bad for some races. It's like Secret Spring, you don't ever want to play on as a Zerg player. And even some Terran players don't really like it. Like, it's good, but it's a really weird map to play on. Same with Inferno Lost.
Padula looks like he's... What is he doing here? Well, he's got his first Marine rallied actually directly to... Well, actually rallying directly to what the Overlord is going to be. Going to try to pick off this first initial Overlord, which actually could be a possibility, depending on how Aquila is able to react and how quickly she reacts to this Overlord being shot at. It is starting to go down already, and actually it's going to take a lot of damage. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to escape to the high grounds. And even Padula, he could lift the CC once it finishes and maybe finish off the Overlord, even if it doesn't die, and it should escape. I think it should escape.
It's
dying.
No,
it's going to die.
It's dying.
It's going to
It's
die.
gonna die. It's gonna die. Oh, no way.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
4 HP.
How would you not just lift your barracks here and go and kill it? He'd be so dirty
Yeah.
on himself not killing that. SCB scouting off. Aquila getting up into her gas. We'll see if she pulls all of it out of gas, gets quick speed. Seems to be her go-to style. Just getting... I still can't believe that.
Still in speed at the moment, however, so could possibly be something else. Could actually just be a little bit of a mistake, but we'll have to wait and see if... Okay, he's pulling out of gas now, so just a bit of a lax attention there, but without a Reaper expansion coming from Padula, Aquila a little bit safer, not having to deal with any sort of harassment from those Reapers, which has been a bit of a problem for her in the earlier games. But right now, getting speed, getting her 3 queens up, but Padula going for a really, really quick 3 barracks here. Just now adding on a couple of gases that are being saturated currently, so he's going to go directly into double gas economy, but with nothing but Marines out, maybe just a quick stem or even just a quick combat shield push. We do have 1 Rector coming down. Is there going to be a tech lab on either one of these barracks to actually get something useful, or is this going to be a ton of Marines?
Another reactor.
Oh goodness, that's going to be so many Marines.
It's a lot of Marines.
Yeah. If Aquila doesn't actually scout this out, when we saw the Overlord come in at a really nice time in the first game, but without a Baneling Nest out, it's going to be a lot of Marines to deal with. If Padula just keeps pushing this forward, okay, it's going to be an engineering bay as well, so... This could be like, what, a +1 combat shield or stem? I'm not sure.
Maybe. I'd prefer combat shield if he's going to do that, to be honest.
There's a lot of Marines.
A bit of a misrally on his natural as well. Just a couple of idle STVs at the moment. Speed does complete for Aquila. If she had a flooded speedlings, this could have been in for a very terrible time. No wall off complete at the natural or the main. some definite holes in both players' play for the moment. Because Aquila does throw down some Evo Chambers and a Baneling Nest in the wall and a Spine Crawler. Nice and safe. I like that wall off for her. She has a few creep streamers out. No Hellions from Padula, so he's giving up map control completely. Aquila's Overlord will be picked off this time. It's not going to survive the long track in. As finally Padula gets a tech lab down. Building a lot of reactors, a lot of marines though at the time with these reactors, which has been scouted. And she has the Baneling Nest now. Taking gas 3 and 4 and a third base. Aquila feels quite safe, I'd imagine. Really getting that drone count up. Has a Baneling Nest for safety in this game compared to the last one.
Yeah, we do have stem on the way now for Padula. It's a little bit, I mean, considering how he opened with these 3 wrecks, I would have expected to see that stem coming down a little bit quicker, but as it stands, he's still going to have a ton of units, a ton of Bioforce out with stem very quickly. Playing this like he's, like, I don't know, even playing like a TVP right now, because he's not even going to get anything out of this factory. He's putting a reactor on that so he can actually probably switch his starport over immediately, so he can get out a lot of medevacs and just try to push across with those units. I mean, last game he saw the Baneling Nest was really, really late for Aquila, I think. Maybe hoping that's going to be the case once again, but that Baneling Nest is already there. We do not have a lair, but there is a macro hatchery down for Aquila already. Third is about to finish as well, so once does drone that up, it's going to have a really nice setup to make a ton of units. We do see a good number of Lings actually in production right now. It's going to be a matter of getting to the lair and maybe going for Spire or just going for Bane Speed and seeing what she can produce off of her current setup, which is, you know, once again going to be going up against a ton of bio, really, really quickly coming here from Padula.
Yeah, I'd like it. I'd like it to get Bane Speed first. I think, just because there's so many Marines, Banelings are really going to do a lot against this composition. If she can get this creep spread out past her third base, give herself time to make this. She does spot this army move across the map. Does start 14 Banelings in production. Has another a lot of Lings in production as well. I think she should have enough to push this back. And Padula's going to have to pre-split real well off creep, I think. If Aquila can take this fight on creep though, she's going to be in for a good time.
Padula is splitting decently to start off with. I mean, stem hasn't even come down yet. He hasn't revealed that he actually doesn't have stem just yet. Banelings actually all crashing into Marauders. That's a lot of lost Banelings. Actually, a ton of lost Banelings there. I mean, nothing but Lings to defend the rest of this push, I think. So this third base is going to be under fire quite a bit. More Banes being produced back over here. I think the third base is completely forfeit. Luckily for Aquila, you can say that she does have the natural or the hatchery in the main base helping out for a little bit of extra larva, but still, those Banes, so many of those Banes went down on a single Marauder. There's actually a Widowmine here as well now. A lot more coming in. Once again, Padula's stimming away as best as he can. Going to get surrounded. Banelings, once again, a lot of Banes crashing into Marauders, so not the greatest of number trades there for our Zerg player, but still getting the third base for Padula. Very nice for him. A lot of money right now here for Aquila. Just needs to have some larva to produce on. Doesn't have it, and Padula not going to send a drop over into the main base, which is seen by all the creep here from Aquila, but still a lot of units went down for both players there, but definitely probably the better of the trade here for Padula. No third command center just yet from our Terran player. He's just still trying to push off these 2 bases. If he's able to split up Aquila well enough, I mean, going into the main base the way he is now, definitely going to help, and still a pretty good standing army on the left side. And even there's a Widowmine in this drop, so could be a lot of drones going down here in a sec.
Yeah, good drop here from Padula. Ooh, really good shot on the Widowmine as well. He's taking a good trade. He does lift off. He does kill the Widowmine with this overseer here, but he does get the most of the Marines out. Does save the medevac as well. There's another push. Gets a cancel on the third as well. Baneling's moving in and deciding not to engage.
I think she was afraid of the Widowmine there, but the Widowmine does go down now. The Spore Caller is actually finished up, so good for it, I suppose. Padula finally putting down a third command center down here at his third. Actually, at his third. Overlord does see that. A lot of Lings out, but no Banelings right now for Aquila. This Widowmine shot could be massive unless it goes off on the Overseer itself. It does go off on the Overseer itself. Of course, as I say that. There's a lot of Banes in production, but just so few actually out currently, and so still getting this third base is such a difficult proposition for a Zerg player. Needs to start actually injecting this extra hatchery she has to be able to get out the amount of larvae she wants. Right now, 13 larvae, but not producing anything. A little bit supply capped as well, kind of. I mean, at 70 to 70. Still trying to make units, but so little able to be produced right now without having that third hatch. And perhaps going to run across the map right now and maybe try to catch Padula off guard back home. I mean, Banespeed is finished. Padula's army is out and actually defending, but with the third hatchery here, it should be able to give him enough time to come back.
She might be able to, yeah. She's going to be able to delay this. And should get a good trade here. As long as the Banelings don't crash into the Marauders, which some of them do again. Turns the army around for Padula, but his standing army is very strong right now. Lifts everything into medivacs. Feels like we're watching a TVP at the moment.
Yeah. It's interesting. Killer just has no Banelings right now. Right now, a lot of Lings, but there's about to be a quadruple drop full of units going into her main base, which she's going to have no answer for without any splash damage. At the same time, the rest of Padula's Bioforce is moving into the third base location where there isn't even a third hatchery. The drop is here. It's very, very powerful. This army does have, well, it's only got +1 right now. It's all it actually has. Going up against +1 as well. But Aquila will go ahead and tap out. Called GG there. Padula will move on to the winner's match, and Aquila will drop down to face Slayer here in a bit. So just a little bit too much of a force there from Padula. Gave us a little bit of a different look there. Playing that game is just, as we said a couple times, looking like a TVP. Rather interesting style that could get run over with some more Banelings actually in decent spots. But as it stands, Padula will win that series.